Okay, Miska. So you think that transgender idea says anyone who identifies as a woman is a woman and must be accepted as such. How do I feel on that? I think indeed that so if we're going to talk about a transsexual narrative, I think that the transsexuals, the people that are really part of that narrative, really do believe that. But they don't think it is through identity. They think that it's their biological nature, So, there's a bit of complex. So I think the transsexual narrative would be anyone who is really innately, who identifies as innately woman. So that, but they wouldn't want the word identify, right? Is who, or anyone who's undergone constructive surgery, maybe. That's more anyone who's committed to hormones, electrolysis, and maybe surgery, maybe not. But let's just leave it at anyone who's done the electrolysis, the hormones, and that they are a woman. I think that they kind of have this. If you read Julia Serrano or things like that, there's this idea that the hormones, the estrogen, actually creates womanhood to some extent. But see, I can't read behind this what your idea is there. So I'd be interested in what you actually believe on that one. Whether you think a woman is a socially constructed entity, or if you think it's somehow real. But I think it's an interesting statement if we take it and we say anyone who identifies as a woman can become a woman. So it's not the act of identifying, the speech act of saying I am a woman, which makes you a woman. I meet people who believe that too. They get. But I think it's an enculturation issue, to tell the truth. I think society has the society I grew up in, complete segregation between boys and girls. Absolute. This was Mormon. I grew up with Mormon kids, and they believe very, very strongly in gender stereotypes. So, I grew up a long time ago in the 70s, but I might as well have been growing up in the 50s. But so these populations are kept separate, and they develop their own cultures. We develop male and female subcultures, partly because we assign these oppositional roles. So I think that if someone's willing to really learn, they can become a woman. But the thing is, you've got to give them the chance, and the RadFems don't want to give them the chance. The RadFems just want to keep us out. They want to have no contact with us, which I find very hurtful. So they just don't want me around. Whereas I feel like, when I'm, in certain times when I'm pulled in, when I have a lot more contact with women, I start to change. I kind of relearn it. It's like a bicycle thing, It's like learning to ride a bicycle. I find even, this thing that everybody refers to as male energy, the male cooties, as Julia Serrano said. you know, that starts to go down. It's like I have to become less defensive and less worried, and um, feminine homosociality among women is, you know, it's much more group oriented, I feel like, than the culture among boys. You know, there really is a sense in which the boy culture I grew up with, it's like every boy against every boy, you know? You know, I mean, boys, you know, I don't know. It's harder to maintain best friends as boys, I think, as well. I think that there's just a culture of friendship in homosocial, it's not that hard a word, Jasper, homosocial bonding. But there's a collectivity. It's a trust, you know. I mean, it's almost also, you know, this. So I have one best friend now, Zonka, who used to be my ex-lesbian lover, who I blogged all about how she taught me lesbian sex. But you know, it's kind of interesting. There's almost like an ethics to the relationship of really being there and being dependable, and you know, there's different social ethics or something in these different social groups. But anyway, to go back, I admitted I have rambled, but pretty interesting rambling if I do say so myself. To go back to it is, yeah, I think, I wonder, I think maybe all male-bodied people can be enculturated into this form of homosociality that I'm calling woman. But nobody gives them the chance either. You know, lesbians really don't give male body. I'm so sorry to say that. In the lesbian spaces that I visited, my maleness was such an extreme social handicap that it was hurtful to be there. It was very hurtful. You know, and I'm not talking about, you know, I'm talking about public things. I'm talking about events in the park, you know. I'm not talking about going to some space which said this is a women's party for women. I'm just talking about running into people in Dolores Park, right? Public space. It's not woman's space. I found it crazy making to try to integrate into that society. You know, I self-loathing. You know, actually, right before I pulled out of the lesbian identity that I had, I did it when I noticed that I started to become mean. You know, that I was getting meanness so often that I was becoming mean. So, anyway, this is really, really rambling, but I feel like communicating it. It's honest. It's hard for me to find this honest place often. So, sweeties, thanks for being there. If you've left a comment and I haven't replied, I'm sorry. I suck at answering comments. I'm just the worst in the world. So, if you do it again, I promise I'll really try to get on top of it with the comments. I'd like to hear from you. I'd love to hear how people are finding this stuff, if it's still interesting, if it's boring. Let me know. Bye-bye, sweeties.